Welcome back to Sin City. The sun just about to set on this newly reconfigured mile-and-a-half track. Phil, let's take a look at our waste management track description.
Completely different racetrack from what we've seen here before. You see it's still a mile and a half in length, but the turn's now 20 degrees in banking. We see speeds entering the corner about 185, 186 miles an hour, as fast as we do anywhere on the circuit. And you see the straightaways now are banked 9 degrees there for a little bit of runoff. Front stretch a lot longer than the back stretch because of the tri-oval. These trucks will only get down to about 175, 180 miles an hour in the center of the corner, 185 plus on the straightaways.
Take a look at our race analysis, Hermie. 36 trucks starting this one.
Yeah, everybody loves coming to Las Vegas. It's 146 laps, 219 miles. Big purse for Las Vegas. 55 to 65 laps on the fuel window. That could be an issue in this race. Track position and pit strategy is going to be very important.
Truck's about to roll out onto the racetrack. Let's take a look at our Honda motorcycle starting grid. And that will roll across the bottom of the screen, so make sure to look to see where your favorite driver will start tonight. The guy on the pole is Mike Skinner. It's his 30th career pole in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. But on the outside, we've got a rookie in Bobby East making up row 1.
A guy that doesn't have 30 career starts in the Craftsman Truck Series, starts on the front row. Great job for the State Fair Corn Dog forward of Bobby East. And Chase Miller had another great qualifying effort here. His second race ever, qualified inside the second row.
Rolled right along with 4 different trucks, one of those being the 22 of Bill Lester.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. will start back in the 70th spot in his Fastenal Dodge, trying to make his way to the front.
Dennis Setzer currently on board in number 85 truck tonight. Didn't qualify as well as he would like. Was very good in practice.
One guy who could be contending for the win at the end of this race will be the number 30 of Todd Bodine. We'll ride along with him and see if he sees the checkers first. He'll start in the 8th position. Again, the biggest story has to be the track, the differences that these drivers and crews have to face coming in here, going from a relatively flatter track to now 20 degrees of banking.
I think you have to throw all the thoughts about old Las Vegas Motor Speedway out the window when you come here. Now, Hermie, I think you think about Texas maybe or Atlanta. This racetrack, from all the guys in the garage are telling me, more closely resembles someplace like Atlanta or Texas than it does the old Las Vegas track.
I think the biggest difference in this track and some of those other tracks that are similar in banking field, from talking to guys, is the transitions into the corners. You know, once you get to the center of the corner, it's 20 degrees, but how you get there, different transitions. These transitions start late getting into these corners, and that's what seems to be throwing some of these guys off, having to get used to getting these trucks down to the center of the corner.
You see Ted Musgrave making his way back up to his starting position. Let's head down to pit road and our thoughts before green.
Well, Rick, let me get started because I'd like to talk a little bit more about Todd Bodine. You know, he has led the points this year after 14 races. And as I look back through the statistics over the years, only one driver in the history of this series has ever lost a championship after leading that many weeks. And that was Jack Sprague back in 1998. He had led 17 races, but lost the title to Hornaday. But I think tonight is a pivotal night for Todd Bodine because he is so good on these mile-and-a-half speedways. He's won 7 times on mile-and-a-half racetracks, and I think tonight he'll be another guy that has a really good shot at working his way to victory lane. Krista?
Well, Ray, it's not uncommon for all eyes to be on Vegas. I mean, the bright lights, the big shows, the money. But this weekend, all NASCAR eyes, including the eyeballs that belong to your favorite drivers, all of those guys who are across the country in Dover, Delaware right now, they are watching this race along with you. Why? Because they want to know what this track is going to do for when they come back here in March. There has never been a race on this surface. We talked a lot about how it's been slick a little bit this weekend, how it's been very fast. Something else the drivers have been talking about, it's very bumpy. You know, we talked about how it drives a little bit, Phil did, about Texas or Atlanta. It also drives a little bit like Charlotte. There is a huge bump going into turn 1 and what the drivers describe as ripples coming out of turn 4. So we'll have to see how those play out tonight. Of course, it wouldn't be Vegas if I didn't throw in some cheesy line like, odds are it's going to be dicey. We'll have to see how the cards play out. Rick?
Well, I don't think that's cheesy at all. I think when in Vegas, you do whatever comes first. And what's going to come first, obviously, is going to be what we think a great race. They changed this track to improve the racing.
Well, they really did, and that's what they're designed to do, these higher banks, is to create some more side-by-side racing. 2, maybe even 3 wide racing. But typically when you build a new racetrack or you have a newly repaved surface, as Hermie was talking about, it takes a while for that racetrack to mature. So it may take us a while to see some good side-by-side 3 wide racing here. But eventually, like places like Atlanta and places like Michigan, we're going to see some terrific racing here at Las Vegas.
Well, it's so much narrower. Are we going to ever see 3 wide racing at this racetrack?
3 wide's going to be tight, but I've seen some guys in 1 and 2 in practice start scooting up on the outside and trying to work in a second groove, but feel coming off turn 4, it's such a tight corner on the exit of turn 4. I've seen nobody venture off the bottom of 3 and 4 just because of where they want to be, making that exit off turn 4 headed down the front straightaway.
Mike Skinner out in front of this field. Now, it hasn't really helped him that much recently, because when he starts on the pole, the last time he won from the pole was way back in 1996 when he was running the series full time the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, but Mike Skinner has such a good truck, as I talked about in my open. When you tried to make Hermie and I go out on a limb and pick who was going to win this race, his truck has consistently been fast. Whether he qualified first like he did or if he qualified 8th, he's still a guy that's going to have to contend with to try to win this race.
When we look at the big picture, Johnny Benson, Todd Bodine somewhat separating themselves for this championship. Does Johnny Benson have to beat Todd Bodine today?
I think he definitely does. I mean, he's got to set the standard. He beat him last week. He's really got to step up and make a consistent charge for this championship. And Johnny's truck has not been that good in practice. They were really confident in the truck they were bringing, but they've really struggled some in practice. So they really got to get it together before this race is over. They cannot afford to lose any more points to Todd Bodine.
You heard me. I talked to Johnny right between the first and second practices today, and he said that he thought this may be the roughest racetrack that he had ever been on. A lot of the other drivers in the garage here say they love the racetrack, so his truck he didn't have the right shock package like you were talking about. His truck wasn't doing that well. I'm sure Rick Wren, they've won 4 races this year. They know how to work on that truck and make it better.
I guarantee you if he ends up in victory lane tonight, he will love this racetrack. But a lot of guys are just taking them a little while to get a hold of it.
Well, luck is always the word when you come to Las Vegas. Who will be the luckiest? It's about to happen. We're about to get underway with the Smith's Las Vegas 350 presented on Speed by Honda Motorcycles. Coming out of 4 and on the front stretch, the fans on their feet, the flag flies. We're underway in Las Vegas. This could be the diciest part of the race. 2 wide going into 1 and 2, everyone coming up to speed.
You see Bobby East, who started on the outside of the front row, really took it easy getting in turn number 1. He's lost 3, 4, 5 spots already, but good heads-up, cautious move by Bobby East.
Turn 3 and 4 is we're really going to see these guys be cautious and try to get to the bottom. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has been in the high groove in practice, so it would be interesting to see how they can make it these first couple laps.
When I was talking about Bobby East being cautious, he just didn't drive that truck down in the corner as hard as Mike Skinner did, because he didn't know how much grip he was going to have on the outside of the racetrack. You see right there, Ron Hornaday, the 33 truck, big-time wiggle, allowed the 21 of Bobby East to get on the inside.
Bobby East moving his way up to 3rd, trying to race with Ron Hornaday. Now Hornaday's going to try the high side, but not for long. He dives back down, but gets loose again, and here comes Bobby East coming out of 4. That was a race for 3rd. Here is for the top spot. Mike Skinner just in front of Chase Miller. That's right, Chase Miller in only his 2nd race in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, right behind Skinner.
And those 2 have already put over a 2nd on the 3rd place truck of Bobby East. Good battle right there. There's Ron Hornaday, the 33, the 21 of Bobby East. Look at Ted Musgrave. Is he going to make it 3 wide?
Bobby East and Ted Musgrave are really faster than Ron Hornaday right now, but Ron's doing a great job of holding them off, trying to see if this truck will come in. You know, nobody has any notes of experience on where to start this air pressure, so maybe Hornaday's waiting for his air pressure to build up, but really holding up Ted Musgrave and Bobby East right now.
We talk about trucks on a rail. Right now, Mike Skinner and Chase Miller look like they are literally on a rail. They're able to hold it right down at the bottom of the racetrack.
They really are. We talked about how good Mike Skinner's truck was in practice. Chase Miller was another truck that was awfully good in practice. Each and every practice. He's brand new to this. Only his 2nd start ever, but he was very, very fast.
Last lap, talk about what traffic does at these kind of racetracks. Last lap, Mike Skinner 1 second faster than Ron Hornaday, who was our 3rd place truck last lap. But now Ted Musgrave has gotten by. Bobby East on the inside now.
The top 5, Mike Skinner, Chase Miller, Ted Musgrave, Bobby East, and Ron Hornaday.
Take a look at Todd Bodine. That's his onboard. The Lumber Liquidators onboard. He's going to pass Jack Sprague on the outside. That sounds great.
Yeah, unheard of from what we've seen of practice earlier. Everyone was hugging the white line during both yesterday's practice and this morning. And look at how Ron Hornaday gets all the way up, almost into the wall.
That's not the first time his truck has wiggled. I think he's got a big-time loose situation right there. Wally Rogers, his crew chief, completely changed his setup before qualifying. Put 4 different springs and shocks in it. I think his truck's awfully loose right now.
And now will it tighten up as the sun has gone down and the track's cooling off?
Typically it does here. Let's see if we can take a look back at Ron Hornaday. Maybe just pulls out. He's a little bit on the outside. Watch that truck wiggle. He had to chase it all the way up to the wall to get a hold of that truck.
And that doesn't look like Mudfield, but 170, 175 miles an hour. That is a great save by Hornaday, but his truck is definitely not to his liking right now.
Spreading out a bit to this pack back here where Ron Hornaday is running. Hornaday's dropped all the way back to 13th as they went across the start-finish line. Johnny Benson just in front of him in 12th.
Yeah, we saw Ron Hornaday all the way up into the top 5 early in this race. He's already dropped about 10 spots, and he's struggling right now. He needs to get to pit road and let Wally Rogers and his guys work on that truck. But most of the drivers and the crews think this racetrack is going to tighten up. If he can hang on to that truck and the racetrack does tighten up, then he may be in good shape later on.
3.5 seconds separate Mike Skinner from Ted Musgrave, who's in 3rd. So Skinner and Miller have separated themselves from the field. Can they keep up this blistering pace? And on the first day of fall, Mike Skinner out in front of the field here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Ray Dunlap.
Mike Skinner's truck very, very good. And, you know, in that final practice, Skinner said that he was just a little bit worried that they may have a touch too much camber in that right front. You know, that's what makes these trucks go really fast, and we've seen that be a problem for this team before. Skinner right now saying the truck just feels fantastic. Coming to him great. Skinner very happy. Krista?
Well, what about the guy running second? We talked about how it's the youngest driver out here on the track, 19-year-old Chase Miller. What a weekend he has had. He was quickest in both of the test sessions yesterday. He was second quick in the first practice today, 3rd quickest in happy hour. He qualified 3rd. I talked to him before the race, and he said, man, I just don't have any bad habits here. I've never even seen this place. The fact that the track changes doesn't really matter to me. I'm just having a great weekend. Someone else who's having some great laps right now is Ted Musgrave. He was turning the quickest laps. Yep, he still is turning the quickest laps on the track, and very close right next to him, actually just a little bit quicker now, is his teammate Todd Bodine. But Ted Musgrave's already moved his way up to 3rd, guys.
Well, the Toyota's looking very strong. Obviously, Mike Skinner out in front of this field, actually in front of Chase Miller now by over 3 seconds, then Ted Musgrave in 3rd, and Todd Bodine, who Krista just mentioned, in 6th, but running very quick times.
Yeah, we've seen what a torrid pace Mike Skinner has set here, but now it looks like he's evening out a little bit. Ted Musgrave, the 9 truck, is running about as fast as Mike Skinner, as well as the 16 of Mike Bliss, and the 30, Ted Musgrave's teammate, Todd Bodine, now are all running comparable lap times to Mike Skinner.
The guy we don't want to count out, though, that 16 of Mike Bliss, running 5th right now, and he has run some very good lap times.
He's been very consistent from the get-go. They were pretty good in practice. I talked to him, but made a few changes, but he qualified well. You know, good solid truck so far, and he's making his way towards the front. But track position, we talk about it all the time, but Mike Skinner started on the pole, and by the time these guys have stabilized and can run as fast as he can, he's 4 seconds ahead. That's the importance of track position.
The big question is, can anyone run as fast as Mike Skinner? He has the pole. He's out in front. He's closing in on 5 seconds between himself and 2nd. We're only 16 laps into this.
Yeah, he's got some good, clean racetrack right now. Chase Miller is really fallen down a little bit off the pace. He's about a half a second right now, slower than Mike Skinner. But again, Musgrave's running similar lap times, as well as Bobby East and the 16 of Mike Bliss.
Some of these other guys are just going to have to find a way to get their trucks to come in quicker, to run faster laps quicker, because it does no good to run as fast as the leader if he's 5 seconds ahead of you.
Well, back in the pack, quite a ways back, actually, is Terry Cook. Now, he had problems in qualifying earlier. Ray, what's going on with Terry?
Well, Rick, with those problems, that put him deep in the field. He started way back in today's race, moved up to 28th right now, and Cook says he's feeling pretty good about the race truck. His crew chief, Dennis Conner, says, don't worry, this is a very, very long race, and we have time to work on this thing. And as you guys know, it being race 19, it is the middle of silly season here. The big question is, what will happen to Terry Cook next season? Now, the rumor in the garage area right now is that the PPC racing team will not be back with Ford in 2007. So if that is the case, where does the Power Stroke sponsorship go? Well, to another Ford team, obviously, and very likely that's where Terry Cook will be headed also.
Good battle right there. Ted Musgrave was just able to get by the 4 of Chase Miller to take over the second spot. Now he's got some clean racetrack. Let's see what he can do with our leader, that big lead that Mike Skinner has. Let's take a look back at what happened. He worked him underneath Hermie off the fourth corner, and he's able to drive by him with his momentum down the straightaway.
Watching Ted Musgrave and Chase Miller the last 3 or 4 laps. Chase gets in the corner good, but he starts to pick up a push. The front end of his truck will not stick to the racetrack. Center off. Ted is fast right around the bottom, got beside him, made the easy pass.
Side by side for Bill Lester and Matt Crafton.
It's a battle for about the 27th spot right there. Bill Lester was 29th there. He got by Matt Crafton, the 88. I think Terry Cook also got by the 88 of Matt Crafton.
Crafton backing up, and we saw his teammate, Terry Earnhardt, look really good in practice, but then didn't qualify very well.
Well, we talk a lot about the new generation of what everybody's doing with springs, coil binding. And some of the teams that we know that have been working on that this year have not been successful at this racetrack today. Including the 33, he took it out. The 88 and the 13 both are struggling tonight, running nose to tail on the racetrack, but not in good position.
Good battle for the 4th spot right there. That's the 21 of Bobby East and the 30 of Todd Bodine. Todd was able to get by the 16 truck of Mike Bliss to take over the 4th spot, the 5th spot from Mike Bliss.
Well, I don't want to curse the track early, but we're 21 laps into it, and the field has pretty much got into single file line all the way around this 1.5 miles. Is this what Las Vegas was looking for?
Well, I think a lot of it right now, Rick, is people being cautious. I mean, when we get down to the last 40, 50, 60 laps of the race, it's going to be some harder racing. I think everybody right now just wants to get settled in, get a run on their tires, on their trucks, adjust them, and then go racing. I think they're just taking them as they come, and everybody's being cautious right now, Phil.
Coming up on halfway through a fuel run, we're expecting them to go almost 60 laps, and we're on lap 23. It's Skinner out in front. His nemesis has been normally the right front tire. Could he be burning the right front off here in Las Vegas? Well, we'll see if Ted Musgrave can catch him. He's currently second. Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Mike Skinner making his way down pit road. We're under caution. Krista.
Yeah, guys, teammates Ted Musgrave and Todd Bodine both up on the wall. Ted Musgrave slides in first. He is complaining that his truck is a little bit loose. The bumps are hurting him. He wants wedge in the left rear. Meanwhile, his teammate Todd Bodine said he's loose by himself but tight in traffic. They are also making a slight chassis adjustment. Both Ted Musgrave and Todd Bodine with very good trucks early in the race. Ray.
Mike Skinner is in with his Toyota Tundra, and they said, let's go with 4 tires right here at lap 26. That way, by doing this and getting plenty of fuel in this truck, they can go way past halfway and do this race on one more stop. The guys continue to work on it. He came in the racetrack as the leader. Mike Skinner gets tires on, and he is going to have a race off pit road with the 16. Mike Bliss will be out first.
Great pit work by Mike Bliss, Dave Fuger's bunch, to get him out ahead of Mike Skinner. Something wrong with Jack Sprague. He's going to back up into his pit.
Yeah, it's never a good sign when you're bagging down pit road the wrong way.
His right rear tire is out of the pit box right now, but that's okay.
Looks like they just had some more lug nuts to hit. They didn't hit all the lug nuts on the left side.
Official maybe warned the crew that he didn't think that all of the lugs were tight, and instead of going out on the racetrack and having to come back in and check them, he backed up. We'll be back with more racing from Vegas after this. 98 season, Hornaday led the points by 13 over his arch rival Jack Sprague. Well, Jack did what he had to do to win the title by winning the race. But Ron finished second, taking the title by 3 points. In the ultimate show of respect and sportsmanship, Ron and Jack did donuts in the infield grass. Today's Fast and All flashback. Jack wins the race, but Ron wins his second title. Under the lights in Las Vegas, Ray Dunlap.
Hey, Rick, as we close in on these final races of the season, every one of them, of course, so pivotal. And tonight could be a really big one when we talk about this championship points chase. Johnny Benson came in to pit there on lap 26. When he left, they had a problem with the transmission. Right now, JB only has 3rd and 4th gear in that Toyota. Could be a big problem for him tonight here at Vegas.
There's a 30 right there, Todd Bodine. We're getting a report that the 20 of Marcus Ambrose and the 30 of Todd Bodine are being penalized for running too fast, exiting the pit. Marcus Ambrose was coming by Todd, and Todd pulled out of his pit, forced Marcus into the grass, and they raced side by side down pit road. Both got busted.
Green flag comes back out. It's Mike Bliss in front of Mike Skinner. How long can Skinner stay behind Bliss with such a great truck?
I know Mike Bliss is happy to be up front. This is the 16 truck is not a 1 but a 2-time series champion with no sponsor on that truck. They're showing those guys can run up front. Somebody needs to come on and sponsor that truck. It's a shame for a team of that caliber field to not be sponsored.
Boy, it sure is. But right now, Mike Skinner has something he hasn't seen this entire race. Somebody in front of him. He doesn't have the clean air like he did before. Krista.
Well, Mike Bliss definitely wanted that track position, and that's why on that last stop they did not take tires. That was a fuel-only and adjustment stop. The adjustment to try to loosen that truck up a bit. They were saving their tires. No tires for the 16. Also, no tires on that stop for the 85, who is currently running 3rd.
Now that was an impressive run right there for Mike Skinner. He moved up almost to the 2nd groove through 1 and 2, and Skinner was not able to get by him.
We saw the 30 of Todd Bodine and the 16 of Mike Skinner both make some passes on the outside down in 1 and 2. I think that really bodes well for this racetrack to be able to see that good racing side by side and passing.
Out in front, running for the win tonight, Bliss and Skinner. We got a little smoke coming out of one of the trucks back there, but it's side by side for the lead. Here comes Skinner on the inside.
I think Mike Bliss is going to let him go. Now, Mike had such a good run. Mike Skinner, that is, coming off the corner. He had that momentum. That's Chad McCumbee right there. The GPS store Chevrolet with a lot of smoke. Looks like he may have a right front tire rubbing, Harry.
He's got some going to the right front. He may have, not sure if he's had contact or if it's something in the front of the truck smoking, causing it to come out of the back, but caution back on the racetrack again.
Caution comes out as Chad McCumbee goes to the apron, but not soon enough, and the smoke continues to roll out from behind that truck.
I'm not sure that's tire smoke. That may be something a little more serious than that. But, you know, going back to what we heard about from Ray about Johnny Benson having transmission trouble, remember last week at Loudon in his Victory Lane interview, he said if they had another caution flag, he may have been in trouble because they had transmission trouble there. And if he's already lost 1st and 2nd gear, it's really going to hurt him on a restart, because most of these guys will restart this race in 2nd gear, and that's really going to hurt him on the get-go.
And we've already seen how bad, how important track position is. It doesn't matter where he restarts a race. If he's only got 3rd gear, he's going to lose 15, 20 spots on every restart.
As our second caution comes out, the Aaron's Lucky Dog goes to Robert Richardson. He'll make his way back up onto the lead lap. The lap before this, when the caution came out, Tim Fedowa was the recipient of that Aaron's Lucky Dog. And so he made his way back onto the lead lap as well.
And Tim Fedowa is driving Curtis Key's number 40 truck that had been driven earlier this year by Ryan Moore. They separated this past week, and Tim Fedowa jumped in that truck.
We saw the 08. Chad McCumbee making his way onto pit road, and he is the reason for this most recent caution. And Chad McCumbee making the hard left turn and takes the truck behind the wall.
We heard that report on the 16 truck and the 85 truck, no tires. Says a lot about how far these guys can go on tires. Dennis Setzer ran his fastest lap on lap 32 with tires that he had run 25 laps on the green, put a cycle on them to cool down on the pit road, under caution, run his fastest lap on that last restart.
Could this be where Dennis Setzer turns his season around?
Boy, he sure needs to. He had that one good runner-up finish earlier this year, but this has not been a season that Dennis Setzer wants to remember. But we're so used to seeing him contend for the championship. Always finishes up in the top 5, second all the time, but this year, really, really far back.
34 laps complete from Las Vegas. It's Skinner back in front of Bliss. Wednesday night on Speed, catch the premiere of the all-new Shooting Cars. You've seen the hottest cars and the hottest movies, but have you ever wondered how they got them? Tune in for the premiere of Shooting Cars, Wednesday night, 8 Eastern, 7 Pacific, only on Speed.
Rick, under that caution flag, Todd Bodine, our championship leader, made a pit stop. They were working in the right rear of that truck. Let's see if we can ask Todd what happened. Hey, Todd Bodine, Phil Parsons, do you hear me?
I got you, Filthy.
You guys made a pit stop here. You got caught busted for speeding on the most other caution flag. You made a pit stop. What are you guys doing to that truck?
Well, I was having a little problem getting in the corner. It's kind of falling on the right front, getting a little loose. So closed the right front compression jet up a little bit and stuck a rubber in the right rear because I was a little too tight behind these guys. So that's what we did. Try to make this Tundra better. You know, I kind of messed up, got caught speeding, and we tried to take that negative and make it a positive and get our Lumber Liquidator Tundra back to the front.
All right, Todd, just a few seconds now. You're getting ready for this restart. Tell us about this racetrack, brand new Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I don't know if you noticed, but I've gone to the outside quite a bit. It's going to be really good here in about 30 laps.
All right, get ready for this restart, and believe me, we're watching you, Todd.
Thanks, Billsy.
Well, Mike Skinner out in front of Mike Bliss, Ted Musgrave, and then it's Las Vegas native Brendan Gaughan breaking into the top 5. He's 4th, and Dennis Setzer rounding out our top 5. Coming up on lap 37, and again, it's Skinner who has been so dominant up to this point, leading the field.
Look at Brendan Gaughan on the outside, trying to get that 3rd spot from Ted Musgrave. What a great restart. Might well make sure he didn't jump a little bit too quick, but you know, Brendan had a good truck. He was in the top 10 in our final practice session. Had a pretty poor qualifying effort, but a good side-by-side battle off of turn 2.
Brendan Gaughan's got a history of going outside on these restarts. You would think after a while, when they see the 77 behind them, they would block more to the to the outside. But a great restart, but having a hard time completing the pass.
That was one of the questions I asked Brendan Gaughan earlier today. I said, you're normally the guy who goes high. Will you be the first one who really christens the 2nd or 3rd lane around this racetrack? And he goes, well, I'm certainly going to be the one who tries to do it first, but I'm not sure if I want to yet.
Here's Ted Musgrave, the 9 truck, dropping back a little bit. David Ruderman, the 17 Toyota, and Chase Miller, the 4 Dodge, racing with Ted Musgrave.
Aaron Crocker has moved into the 12th position, just in front of that 50 of Michelle Jourdain. Ray Dunlap.
Hey, Rick, the team's been pretty solid here. She just fell out of the top 10. They had a real good pit stop the last time by. Aaron reporting that her truck is just a little bit tight. It's better in 1 and 2 than it is in 3 and 4. Real tight coming off of turn number 4. But just to add real quickly to the silly season situation, here is a team that is losing their sponsorship. Aaron Crocker will not have Betty Crocker and the General Foods people, General Mills people back with that team next year. So one more truck that is looking for new sponsorship for 2007.
Guys, we've seen more side-by-side racing since this last restart than we have the entire first part of this race. Some great racing, side-by-side, 2 rows deep, and the 21 of Bobby East trying to stick his nose in there.
And I think this was the big question. Can they run side-by-side? The trucks normally on the inside get a little bit loose, but we're seeing right here they're sticking to the track.
This is good news not only for the drivers and the trucks and the teams and the fans here at Las Vegas, but also for the people back at Dover, Delaware, the Cup Series drivers, the Busch Series drivers watching this race. Makes you really excited about what this racetrack may offer in the future.
I'll tell you, we took a poll in the garage here. I don't think any of the drivers thought this racetrack would be this racy this early on. We've got some great racing going on.
David Ruderman drops in behind Rick Crawford, but still side-by-side behind Ruderman. Bobby East on the outside. Ruderman now tucking in behind him. East drops down to the inside. Michelle Jourdain in that 50.
Here's the 46 of Craig Kinzer. That may be his last ride in this Morgan Dollar Chevrolet. Got a good run going so far, racing up in the top 15 right now.
Fans not knowing what to expect with the newly reconfigured racetrack, but they are getting quite a show here in Vegas.
We saw David Ruderman racing with Ted Musgrave just a few laps ago. Let's take a look back at what happened. There's Ted Musgrave on the inside of David Ruderman. David comes down the hill there. Got some good racing. Bob East on the outside. Ruderman gets really loose. Ted Musgrave goes by on the inside along with the 99 of Eric Darnell, the 85 of Setzer. Look how much momentum David Ruderman lost by that one little wiggle right there.
Sometimes a track like this with all this grip and these guys getting more and more confident kind of lure you into a somewhat of a, state of, you think nothing can go wrong. The trucks feel so good, so much grip. But as you can see, you get yourself in a bad situation in traffic, it'll still get away from you.
Ruderman currently in 11th position. Chase Miller taking over 3rd. Brendan Gaughan drops back to 4th. Mike Skinner only 0.4 of a second in front of Mike Bliss. Now, this is something new for Skinner because Skinner had been running away from the field.
Well, again, once he got that big lead and things shook out a little bit, the good trucks came to the front, came towards third and fourth spot. Then the time stabilized a little bit. It's not a big surprise now that these trucks are running very, very comparable lap times.
Closing in on the 1/3 mark of this race. Again, it's 146 laps, 219 miles. And right now, Mike Skinner holding a clinic at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And on super speedways like Daytona, Talladega, we can only expect exceptional racing for the Truck Series.
Well, we've seen such terrific racing at Daytona with these trucks. I mean, they come by the start-finish line 3 wide, and it's only going to be, Talladega is bigger, wider, and a little bit faster. And Hermie, brand new pavement at Talladega.
No question, it's going to be fast, exciting. The trucks, always great racing. Talladega truck racing is going to be out of this world.
Here are the 2 drivers that were penalized for speeding on pit road. Todd Bodine trying to get by the 20 of Marcus Ambrose, and does.
And remember, he told us to keep an eye on him. He's making some passes on the high side. There's Ted Musgrave. He just took over the 3rd spot from Chase Miller the last time around.
Chase Miller drops back to 4th. Eric Darnell in 5th. And then problems with Bobby Hamilton Jr. into the wall, and our caution comes out once again. Fastenal dodge of Bobby Hamilton Jr. kissing the wall with the right side of the truck.
Looks like a right front tire situation. He missed the entrance to pit road that time. Tough break for this Fastenal team, though. What a tough year they have had.
There's no doubt, it looks like he blew a right front tire and really tore the whole front end, the right side, the right front fender, everything off of that truck.
Yeah, there's Danny Gill and Jeff White, team engineer, on top of the pit box. Danny Gill, the crew chief.
This is something we weren't expecting, because we talked about how hard these tires are, how hard we thought these tires were, but we have a right front blow.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a situation that he ran over something, because all the teams in the garage area said absolutely no trouble with these tires, hardly anywhere, no heat. They were, some of these people were talking about running on and on and on and on and not changing tires. We already got a report that the 16 of Mike Bliss and the 85 of Dennis Setzer did not change tires on their first pit stop, and they're both running in the top 6.
Well, pit strategy could come into play here in the fact that some guys may come in and just do fuel. Fuel only stop as we've gotten up to 52 laps complete. And Bobby Hamilton Jr. brings out our 3rd caution of the night from Las Vegas. The lucky dog goes to Chase Montgomery in the number 76. So the lucky man right now in Las Vegas is Chase Montgomery. Out in front of the field, it's Mike Skinner. Under the lights in Sin City, the flashing lights are out on the pace truck, meaning next time by we'll go back to racing. Again, it's Mike Skinner out in front of Ted Musgrave, 2 Toyotas leading the field around this 1.5-mile track.
The top 11 trucks stayed on the racetrack. Let's take a look back at what happened with Bobby Hamilton Jr. He was racing with the 23 of Johnny Benson. That's Johnny right there in the Toyota, certified used vehicles Toyota. Right on him, he's going to work to the inside of Bobby Jr. as they go down into turn number 1.
He slid up the racetrack right there going into turn 1 and 2, like he almost knew something was wrong or going wrong going into the corner.
But he got back in the throttle in the center of the corner, and listen right here. That's what it sounds like when a tire blows at 180 miles an hour.
And those tires, when they blow, they tear up more than you do when you hit the wall at most times.
Coming to the green flag, we're back underway. Skinner leading the field.
Phil, Mike Skinner's back up front where he's been most of the night, and it's a good place. But he's about 27 laps, has less fuel than these guys that stopped in this last pit stop. So that puts us in a position where fuel strategy is probably going to have an impact in the outcome of this race.
Yeah, the top 11 trucks that time, as we mentioned, stayed on the racetrack. So a lot differing pit strategies now. That's what, when you have a tire that doesn't slow down, that's what it allows you to do different kind of pit strategy like this.
But is this the time for Mike Skinner to start with pit strategy? 3 wide as they go through the tri-oval.
3 wide with 2 guys with some history there. Ron Hornaday, Mike Bliss. Those guys are, what people try to do is get as many spots as he can on these restarts when people are shuffling around and out of the gas. Another 3 wide. Marcus Ambrose. Rick Crawford looked like he was thinking about taking it 4 wide, but thought better of that.
Wow. And Todd Bodine shoots out from the middle of that as they go into turn 3.
You didn't want to be in the middle, that's for sure. That's the most vulnerable spot to be in on a 3 wide situation, is in the middle.
Here's for third, Eric Darnell just in front of Chase Miller.
Going back to that 3 wide field, as we noticed riding around the track yesterday, going into turn 3 is just about the narrowest place on the racetrack. Not a lot of racing room getting in right there.
Krista, what's going on with Mike Bliss?
Well, guys, remember, he is one of those drivers who did not take tires when they came down on lap 26. This time they took 4. He said his truck is just too free to run wide open, but he said the track is gaining grip. Also, Dennis Setzer, the other guy who did not take tires before, he also took 4. Ray?
Krista, down on my end, a lot of people were just getting gas, but Rick Crawford said he wanted to get tires on that pit stop. They came in at lap 53 and put 4 on there, as well as the number 10 truck of Terry Cook. They put 4 tires on too. These guys are saying they have 4 tires right now and put gas in this thing. That may set that up for their next pit stop to only do 2 tires. Lots of different strategies down here tonight on pit road.
Hey, Ray, and the racetrack is getting faster and faster. Over half of the top 10 ran their fastest lap of the race, the most recent lap.
58, 59, and 60 we're seeing on our monitors up here as far as which was their fastest lap of the race, and currently we're on our 61st lap.
And this is fun for a crew chief, Phil, as you say, and as Ray's alluding to, this tire holding up as good as it is and not losing speed after 50, 60 laps opens up a lot of options for these crew chiefs. It's a good opportunity for a crew chief to step up and steal a race here.
What a great side-by-side battle we have right now. Marcus Ambrose, the Team Australia forward on the inside, and Todd Bodine, our championship leader, on the outside.
Let's take a look at how the points stand in our championship. Bodine just 90 points in front of Johnny Benson. Benson currently being scored in the 7th position.
Right now, Todd is being shown in the 17th or 18th position. 17th right now, unless Marcus Ambrose gets back by him. That'll put Todd back to the 18th spot.
Side by side through the tri-oval and into turn number 1. Marcus Ambrose, we thought, was in the preferred line on the bottom of the racetrack, but we see Todd Bodine moving ahead of him on the high side of the track. And here comes Rick Crawford.
Remember, at the top of the show, we told you that Rick Crawford's trouble early on. Crashed in the first practice today. A backup truck out there and taking that truck towards the front.
That backup truck currently running in 19th, and in front of the field it's Skinner, and now he's got his hands full because here comes Ted Musgrave.
It's like for the first time tonight, somebody's able to actually race with Mike Skinner. Ted is running the fastest lap of on the field, the last lap, and is gaining in on Skinner, something that nobody's been able to do all night.
Has Mike Skinner talked about Ted Musgrave, Ray?
Yeah, and he knows he's right there. They're talking about how his truck is not doing as well down in 3 and 4 as he is in 1 and 2. He's really happy with the way he can make his entry down here after he comes out of this tri-oval and goes into 1. He's real good, but coming off 3 and 4, Skinner is not as happy. Now, Hermie and Phil, I got to ask you a question about this pit strategy. We said a lot of guys are going to have options, but I got to believe the 5 doesn't have any options. He pitted at lap 26, so the next time they come in, they got to take 4 tires, don't they?
There's no question. The five truck, if this thing stays green and comes on pit road, they've painted this up into a corner. They've got to get tires now. These other guys do have options, and the Skinner, who knows how to play out, but certainly he gave up a lot of fuel on that last stunt by staying on the racetrack.
Yeah, tires may not be the biggest issue right now. He's probably no more than about 20 laps from a scheduled pit stop.
And guys, as we're talking about that, here's something we don't see very often. Todd Bodine is moving backward. Rick Crawford just got by him and took away the 17th position. Todd Bodine drops back to 18th.
Remember when we talked to Todd earlier, he talked about his truck was having trouble getting in the corner, getting down in the corner. They worked on that truck. Obviously, they're going to have to make some more changes to that truck. It's still not like he wants it.
Johnny Benson in the 23. He's also dropped a position. The 8th is Jack Sprague has taken over 7th from him.
This is a perfect opportunity. We talked about it in the pre-race. Johnny Benson needs to capitalize on Todd Bodine struggling. Johnny Benson needs to get up and get a good solid top 5 and hope that Todd struggles and cannot get up there so he can gain a lot of points here at Las Vegas.
We saw Todd Bodine get passed by Rick Crawford a few moments ago. Marcus Ambrose now has gotten by Todd Bodine. That puts Todd back to the 19th spot.
You You just mentioned Rick Crawford. Ray, what's going on with that team?
Well, you know, as Phil said earlier about him going to backup, they came here with chassis number 20, the truck that Rick Crawford really wanted to race. This number 18 chassis that they're driving tonight has been with them lots and lots of races, but it had never been on the track until today. They've actually put 4 different bodies on this truck and 3 different front clips trying to make this thing better. Rick has never been really happy with this number 18 chassis that they've got tonight. But so far, I think he's pretty happy tonight at Vegas. Krista?
Todd Bodine started 8th. He's currently running 19th. Yes, this is very uncharted territory for him, especially at a track where he is the defending champion. He said the problem with this truck right now, it is tight off. He cannot drive his Lumber Liquidators Toyota into the corners. They pulled a rubber out on that last stop, put the track bar back to where they had it to start the race. They're already talking about the chassis adjustments they are going to have to make when the caution comes out or when they need to bring this truck back in.
This is exactly what we've been talking about. Johnny Benson needs Todd Bodine to have problems, and it looks as though we're seeing problems with that 30 team.
And this is not the type of track you expect Todd Bodine to struggle at. A very high bank, fast, mile-and-a-half racetrack. Very surprising to see him struggle.
Bobby East getting by the slower lap traffic and then also going by the 60 of Jack Sprague. Bobby East takes over 5th, but it's Mike Skinner out in front of the field. Led a predominant number of the laps up to this point. Musgrave, the only one giving a chase in Vegas. Problems with the 50 of Michel Jourdain Jr. The caution has come out. It's the 4th one of the night.
A tough break for Michel Jourdain. He ran his first Truck Series race back at Texas earlier this year. Had a good top 15 finish. He was running up in the top 15 and made a little contact.
Great break from Mike Skinner and some of these guys have stayed out, though. They needed to get this break to get on pit road.
Replay got a little loose and got into the inside wall.
Made some contact with the inside wall. He brought his truck down pit road. They did not make any contact with the outside wall.
You see how hard he was turning to the right, but still couldn't get that truck to straighten out. These high banks are sending him down the track.
Well, as drivers, you know, it's human nature. When you get sideways and start backing up the racetrack, you nail the throttle to keep the back end of the truck off the wall. And what you sometimes do, if you do too much of that, you end up taking yourself into the inside wall. Is what happened there on the 50.
There's Bobby Hamilton Jr. He's got a little bit of luck going his way right now. He is our Aaron's lucky dog. He was being showed 3 laps down. He will get one of those laps back and put him to 2 laps down.
Being scored in the 32nd position right now for Bobby Hamilton Jr. Again, the bad luck that Phil had mentioned was the right front tire blowing going down the backstretch on that number 18. He brought out our 3rd caution of the night.
You know, we haven't talked a whole lot about the 99 of Eric Darnell, the Woolrich Ford for Jack Roush. He's having a great run. He's right there in the 3rd spot, right behind Ted Musgrave.
Yeah, Eric Darnell and Chase Miller. Here's 2 young guys, rookies in this series, and they're running 3rd and 4th right now, competing with some great veterans, Skinner, Musgrave, and Sprague in our top 5. Let's go down to Krista Voda as they come to pit road.
Guys, Ted Musgrave, his team, wondering if they'd have to call an audible. They were actually considering, what if Mike Skinner doesn't come down? What are we going to do? Of course, Skinner's going to have to come down. He's been out here since lap 26. So Ted Musgrave brings his Toyota down as well. The guys working around on the right side with the tires there, putting the fuel in the truck as they come around to the left side as well. Just a slight chassis adjustment here. They're working on the left side. Ted Musgrave, very happy with this truck at a track that he said he really wasn't that comfortable with, but he was very good qualifying. A little bit of a hang-up, though, and they do get the truck down and away. Meanwhile, the 99 also on pit road. Ray, what have you got on your end?
Oh, Krista, just a little change for for Mike Skinner. A half a round up on the track bar. They're going to do 4 tires here and pack this thing full of gas. The bad thing is they don't have enough fuel here to go the rest of the way. They had hoped to get another 8 or 9 laps before this pit stop happened. So everybody will be back down pit road for one more stop. And as we look at the end of pit road, we see the 23 truck having trouble getting going again. Remember, he's got that transmission problem. So Johnny Benson, once again, not being able to get going off pit road here.
The trouble that Ray's mentioning, we heard earlier that he only has 3rd and 4th gear. And so for him to try to get going off of pit road and to stay underneath the pit road speed, he has no idea, because normally they do that in second gear, don't they, Phil?
It looks like he may have lost third gear too. It looked like he was probably in high gear trying to take off. There's Boston Reed, the 25, being pushed behind the wall. He obviously has some problems. He may have broke something on pit road.
A lot of these guys on these mile-and-a-half racetracks, you're running such a tall gear in the back, you do get pit road speed in first gear, so he has no idea what his pit road speed is, and also it's very difficult to get off pit road.
Here again, we look at coming off of pit road. There's the 23, and he stalls right here as the field is going by him.
He was able to take off out of his pit stall, but as you mentioned, it looks like he stalled. He obviously got that truck refired right there. Now he's moving again, but a very, very slow rate of speed, and lost. He was up in about the 6th spot right now, and Johnny's probably going to lose at least 20 spots on pit road.
Tough break for him. We just talked about it 5 minutes ago, how important for him to take advantage of an off night for Todd Bodine, and these problems are preventing him from doing that.
Is there anything he can do to save this night if he only has fourth gear?
Well, he didn't build the transmission, and unless he did something, to harm it, I mean, right now the harm is done. He just needs to hope this thing stays green, because every time we have a caution, it's going to cause him some problems. Krista?
Guys, want to update Boston Reed in the 25. He was having a great run, probably the run of his career, but his truck is back behind the wall. The oil pump belt broke on that number 25. Boston Reed, like I said, he was running in the top 10. It's been a tough couple of weeks for this driver, trying to balance out the learning curve. He has had to personally himself hire 4 new mechanics, a new crew chief with Tim Weiss, and a new truck driver as well. So Boston Reed a little bit downtrodden. This is definitely not going to help. He is out for the night. A broken oil pump belt, the culprit.
Another driver not having the luck that he would like to have in Las Vegas. Let's go back down to trackside and Ray Dunlap.
I just want to give you a quick update on Johnny Benson. Crew Chief Rick Wren just came on the radio and said, don't worry about this. The last time we restarted, we were 24th, and we worked our way up to 6th. We can do it once again. Keep a positive attitude. We'll get this thing back up there. And we're just, coming up to halfway here. So they do have time. They believe they can get back towards the front.
As Ray mentioned, we're actually past halfway in this race, but that means they have to stop one more time, which means Johnny Benson will have to come down pit road again and could potentially have the same problems he just had.
Yeah, what Johnny Benson would love would be the caution to come out just when he gets in his fuel window, so then he would have all the rest of that race to be able to overcome what he's obviously going to lose on pit road.
We talked about Johnny Benson having problems. Well, Todd Bodine could also have problems. Let's listen in.
We're in bad shape here, bud. Come on, bud. We'll get it fixed up, man. Keep digging on it. Stuff together here.
That was Mike Hillman Sr., team manager for Todd Bodine, and was telling us, Todd said we got a bad shake, so that's a vibration. Hopefully, when they changed tires, they got rid of that vibration, whether they had possibly a slightly loose wheel or maybe a wheel weight that came off one of the wheels to get one of the tires out of balance. So Todd will know just in a few laps whether that vibration has gone away.
Look at our point standings. Johnny Benson now 109 points behind Todd Bodine. Again, coming in, it was 124 points that separated Bodine and Benson. Now, Todd Bodine has not finished outside the top 10 on a mile-and-a-half track since last year at Texas, where he finished 30th. The green flag flies. It is Marcus Ambrose out in front of Travis Kittleson, Ron Hornaday, Dennis Setzer, and Brendan Gaughan, your top 5.
Our top 2 trucks right now, Marcus Ambrose and Travis Kittleson, both stayed out on this most recent caution flag.
Pit strategy again for the 2 young ones. Bliss able to get by the 77 of Brendan Gaughan. And also up there, Rick Crawford getting by Gaughan.
Right now, Ron Hornaday, the 33 truck, is chasing down Marcus Ambrose. 2 wide, 3 wide going in turn number 1.
Mike Skinner leading that 3 wide group, and now they start to spread out as they go out of 2 and down the backstretch.
There's a 99 of Eric Darnell. Remember, he was up in the top 5 when the caution flag came out. Being shown right now just outside of the top 10.
The 07 of Travis Kittleson dropping back quickly. Ron Hornaday takes over 2nd. Setzer moving up to 3rd. Bliss is 4th. Crawford 5th. 4 different lead changes between 4 different leaders and 4 cautions for 15 laps up to this point in the race.
You know, Marcus Ambrose has been able to maintain that lead even though he did not pit on this most recent caution flag. There's David Ruderman right there. That's a battle for seventh. He gets by the 77, the South Point Dodge. We're used to seeing the South Coast, which is Brendan's father owns. He will maintain, take over sole ownership of that hotel and casino next month, and will change the name to the South Point. That's why it's on his truck.
Here's 5th and 6. Mike Skinner. Rick Crawford, again talking about Rick Crawford's woes earlier today, wrecking his primary truck in practice, having to bring out the backup, and now he's running in the 5th position.
There's the 30th Todd Bodine. He makes his way by the 11 of David Starr. He takes over the 21st spot. You know, as much trouble as Johnny Benson had getting off pit road, he's still running ahead of Todd Bodine.
And in 19th position and looking to take away 18th from Aaron Crocker.
Todd gets by the 13th of Kerry Earnhardt. There's David Starr right there. Todd right now is up one spot. He's up in the 21st spot.
Again, we listened in to Todd Bodine's radio call and mentioning that we've got to get rid of this shake that he had, and hopefully they fix that problem on pit road.
The vibration's no fun on a racetrack like this. These kind of speeds, you want to keep your driver focused on his truck and what he's got to do to pass the guy in front of him, not worry about a vibration. We'll have to catch up on the next pit stop to see if they've got that taken care of.
Another guy that had problems earlier, actually in qualifying, was not able to make a lap. Terry Cook has moved up to the 13th position, so he's making his way up. We look at Craig Kinzer on the outside now of Todd Bodine. Bodine making the pass on Craig.
The reason Terry Cook didn't make a lap is because he spun out coming off turn number 4. Was able to keep that truck out of the outside wall, put some new tires on it, having a pretty decent run going.
Craig Kinzer and Aaron Crocker just in front of Todd Bodine. Again, our championship points leader, and we see Skinner trying to get by the 16, has made that pass. And so Skinner will take over 4th position from Bliss. And now Skinner tries to reel in Dennis Setzer, who's holding on to 3rd.
You know, our leader, Marcus Ambrose, has quietly opened up almost a 2-second lead on Ron Hornaday. Nice pass right there by Aaron Crocker by the 46 of Craig Kinzer. Todd Bodine's going to do the same thing on the outside of the racetrack.
Up in the 2nd and almost 3rd groove is Todd Bodine, and he slingshots by the 98 of Aaron Crocker. That Lumber Liquidators Toyota Tundra we've normally seen. We got a slow truck just in front of Todd Bodine, almost coming up the racetrack.
That's
that looks like
Pete Shepard.
Pete Shepard driving the 6 this week, as David Reagan has opted to run in Dover in the Busch Series and Cup Series this weekend. So Pete Shepard taking over the duties of driving the 6, and that brings out our 5th caution of the night.
Could be a great break for Johnny Benson. If I was Rick Wren, I'm going to bring Johnny Benson down pit road when pit road opens. Finish my pit work. I will have enough fuel to go the rest of the way. And no, only thing's going to hurt me after that with my transmission trouble is a restart, Hermie.
No question about that. A great break for him. Great driving by a lot of people who missed that wreck. He was all over the racetrack. And another lucky dog there for Bobby Hamilton Jr., who's hanging in there despite having damage early on in the race.
We were on board with Todd Bodine. We heard him slow down. We saw the smoke from the 6 of Pete Shepard.
Reason why we're under caution is this. The 6 of Pete Shepard trying to make his way through 4, gets sideways, hangs on to it, no contact.
You know, when you're working on the underside of one of these race trucks, you get yourself into some pretty tight situations. And a standard extension sometimes won't do the job you want. Now, you notice I have an extension on a socket here, and it just doesn't really move too much. But if you're in a tight situation, you might want to reach for a wobbler extension. Now, here's a 10-inch wobbler from Craftsman, and here's what I really like about it. You put it into that socket, and look how much mobility you get right now. If you have your extension straight up, this allows the socket to pivot and get into some really tight situations. It'll give you about 15 to 20 degrees of movement, which is a lot better than a standard extension. Now, this little set right here comes with an 1.5 inches, a 3, a 6, and a 10-inch extension. That'll get the job done in your garage.
Check out this Craftsman Tools of the Trade and other great programming on Speed on Demand. And talk about great, what a great crowd on hand here in Vegas.
Boy, perfect weather. You know, I just wonder, there's the top 9 trucks stayed on the racetrack. Most of these trucks, I believe, should be in their pit window, if not close enough to try to make it, Ray.
Absolutely, Phil. The number 33 of Ron Hornaday is in his window. He pitted on lap 76, and they believe there'll be a couple of extra caution laps here, and that'll be enough fuel to get them to the end. So they said, look, this truck gets a lot better on long runs. We don't want to pit now and do anything to screw it up. So Hornaday stays on the racetrack. He's planning to go the distance.
Let's see if we can talk to Johnny Benson. I know Johnny Benson is awfully glad to get maybe his last pit stop out of the way. Let's talk to him. Hey, JB, Phil Parsons, can you hear me?
I think we're pretty good on the fuel.
We heard Rick Wren tell JB that he thought we were pretty good. Hey, Johnny, Phil Parsons, can you hear me?
A lot of silence there, Phil.
Yeah.
Maybe he's pondering maybe another win.
Yeah, well, he's trying to win this race here. He's got to... JB, can you hear me? That's all right. We're going to let Johnny go there. We heard Rick Wren tell him they thought they were pretty good on fuel. He's another one of the trucks that stopped back on lap number 76. We've had some caution laps. That's going to help their fuel mileage. Undoubtedly, these top 9 think that they can make it all the way from lap 76, or else they didn't think they could make it, and there's no sense stopping on lap 89 when they know they have to stop again.
And Johnny Benson currently being scored in the 7th position. And if we look at the championship hunt, Todd Bodine back in 27th, so a great points night for Johnny Benson if it is to stay the way it is now. And
yeah, if the race ended right now.
Yeah.
But Todd Bodine was on pit road for some major work that time. They were up under the right front of that truck, probably working on a shock or the spring. And if the race were to end right now, Johnny Benson would only be 60 points behind. But I don't think Todd Bodine is going to stay back in 27th for long.
Again, just the 19th of 25 races to be run by the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Plenty of time for Johnny Benson to chip away at that points lead as Ron Hornaday leads the field across the start-finish line. Mike Skinner right behind him, Crawford and Ruderman and Musgrave rounding out our top 5.
David Ruderman got a great jump on the inside of Rick Crawford, going to try to take over the 3rd spot. Rick fights back on the outside.
Side by side down the backstretch. Ruderman getting a little loose there. Looked as though he moved up the racetrack, and here comes Ted on the inside of Rick Crawford. Now remember, just one race ago, those two tangled in Loudon, and it looks as though no problems this time by.
Hey, look, and there's Johnny Benson right there. We thought he would really struggle on these restarts. He obviously got something figured out because he did not lose any time on that restart.
I don't look for it to take long for Mike Skinner to make quick work of Ron Hornaday. Ron's truck just has not been there all night. These guys tangled up at Nashville a little bit, so maybe they've learned a lesson, especially this part in the race. Mike Skinner much better than Ron Hornaday right now.
That is, and he does make the pass on Ron Hornaday. Got David Ruderman in the 17 truck back in 3rd. We saw the 9 of Ted Musgrave able to run with the 5 of Mike Skinner. Right now, he's got some trucks he has to get by first.
3rd, 4th, and 5th. Ruderman now moving to the inside. Musgrave and Crawford going to the high side. Crawford also making the pass, and here comes Johnny Benson looking in that 2nd lane.
We talked about him before tonight, but what a great run by Rick Crawford. Backup truck, limited practice, not the truck they wanted to run, and here he is up in the top 5.
Take a look at right behind David Ruderman. That's the 75 of Eric Almirola. We haven't seen that much of him tonight. He's got a good run going up in the top 10.
Musgrave taking over 3rd, Crawford to 4th, Johnny Benson 5th. It's still Skinner now in front, Hornaday 2nd.
Right now, Todd Bodine, the 30 truck, is mired back in the 24th position.
And not moving. Johnny Benson moving toward the front. Todd Bodine staying in 24th. Eric Darnell making the pass on Chase Miller as Miller drops back behind and will take over the 19th spot. Battle for 2nd, Ted Musgrave moving up behind the 33 of Ron Hornaday.
If Musgrave can get by Hornaday pretty quick, there's Mike Skinner right in front of him. He's not going to lose much ground. Look how he gets through the center of the corner, Hermie.
We saw him earlier. He has proven if he can get behind Mike Skinner, he's the only one we've seen all night long that can hang with Mike Skinner and put a little pressure on him. If you don't put any pressure on Skinner, he's going to be hard to beat. Somebody's got to get up there, stay in that rearview mirror, and put a little pressure on him.
Hornaday still holding off the 9 of Ted Musgrave. Musgrave running right on the bottom of the racetrack. through 1 and 2. We'll see if Hornaday can keep Ted Musgrave behind him. It looks as though he will. So it's Skinner out in front of Ron Hornaday, Ted Musgrave, Rick Crawford, and Johnny Benson. Tomorrow on Speed, it's the Speed Report. Go beyond the highlights and beyond the stats. Get the why with the Speed Report. Tomorrow, 8 Eastern and Pacific only on Speed. And to get the why right here at Las Vegas, why would they repave this racetrack? Well,
to get some good side-by-side racing and some three-wide racing. And here's a great three-truck battle right there. Marcus Ambrose, the 20. His teammate, Bobby East, the 21. Watch Marcus move to the inside of Matt Crafton. And the 16 of Mike Bliss, the red truck. That's the why right there, racing side by side.
And hugging the inside and able to make the pass. Mike Bliss also following on the inside. Battle continues for second. Ted Musgrave shadowing the 33 of Ron Hornaday.
You know, Mike Skinner was able to get by Ron Hornaday, the 33 truck, fairly easily, but he hasn't been able to drive away from him. He's got about a 1 second lead, but Ron Hornaday right now is so concerned with Ted Musgrave. I really thought Skinner would drive off from Ron Hornaday, and unless Ted Musgrave could get by, I didn't know if he could catch him, but he's not really doing that.
Is it at all surprising to either of you that these guys think they can make it on the last stop where they're over 60 laps from a fuel window?
It's a much larger fuel window than anybody indicated, you know, as far as talking about before the race. But as the race has unfolded, caution laps, maybe they got their trucks running better in feathering the gas in the middle of the corner rather than running wide open all the way around the racetrack. Has opened that window up, but it seems like a long ways to go on fuel, especially with no more caution laps.
A lot of these trucks pitted back on lap number 76, so we're talking about them having to go 70 laps, which is over 100 miles.
That's amazing fuel mileage. Normally we see these trucks get around 4 miles to the gallon, maybe a little bit better, so that's about 88 miles. And we see smoke coming out of the 4 of Chase Miller, and that's very unfortunate. He had a great truck and a great run going in only his second start in the Truck Series.
Boy, it really is. We documented earlier, fastest in practice yesterday, very, very fast today, good top 3 qualifying runs. So this is not the last we're going to see of Chase Miller.
Caution has come out now, the 6th caution of the night, coming out on lap 106. And it is for that 4 of Chase Miller, making his way on the apron, trying to get back to pit road.
We got a report during the commercial from Ray and Krista that they feel like everybody that did not stop on this most recent caution flag do have enough fuel to make it at 70 laps. But this is going to answer it. If they think they need more fuel, they're going to stop on this caution flag. What's going on with Todd Bodine, Krista?
Guys, Todd's just been trying to get a handle on this truck all night. It has been tight off all night long. So on that last stop back on lap 89, they took their time trying to get the handling right, hoping they could go out and stay the distance. They put a spring rubber in and took wedge out. Pit road is closed right now. Meanwhile, his teammate, the 9 team, Ted Musgrave, having a great truck, but they are getting ready to come in. They are trying to decide what.
If their truck is good right now, there are so many trucks that we know are not going to pit even when pit road opens. Then, I mean, I think you take every shot at winning the race out. If you're up front like Ted Musgrave and you know at least 20 of these trucks are going to stay out, you have no shot at getting by all those trucks and getting back to the front.
This is the reason pit road is closed too. Chase Miller not able to keep the truck moving as he gets to the entrance of pit road, and so they did not open it this time by. We would expect it next time.
And he dropped a lot of fluid all the way around the bottom of the racetrack, which is not an issue on the track, but guys coming in off of pit road could cause a problem. But I'm like you, Phil. Any of these guys up front now, if you pit now, if you're in the top 5, top 10, if you pit now, 40 laps to go, 39 laps to go, you will not win this race.
That's a pretty bold statement to make there, Hermie. You think that in 40 laps you can't make up those positions?
No, sir. If more than 8 or 9, 10 trucks stay up, we've seen guys, you know, that have led and taken off and gone to the front, come in, get yourself back in traffic. It's easy to catch somebody. An old phrase, it's one thing to catch them, another thing to pass them. I mean, clean air and getting out front is a lot. And these guys, if they pit now, it's over.
We saw a moment ago Bobby Hamilton Jr. That's Bobby Jr. right there. He got the lucky dog. He got his 3rd Aaron's lucky dog of the race. Now, he's still going to be shown a couple laps down, but nonetheless, he soldiered on.
Well, the question is out there, who will pit this time by? We're going to find out as they go by the pit entrance. It looks as though Skinner will stay out, and making his way down pit road, that's the 14 of Rick Crawford. So Crawford, one of the only trucks that looks like to come down pit road. Ray?
And guys, he gives up a 4th place position on the racetrack to do this, but they really did not feel like they were going to make it to the end here on fuel, and you got to keep in mind a possibility for a green-white checkered. So Rick Crawford said, we don't want to run out of gas on this one. I'd rather put tires on this thing if we've got it, and let's get plenty of fuel just in case. So they have given up great track position to make this gamble. Cowboy Starlin has told us over and over, this is the part that drives him crazy about being a crew chief, making these last-second decisions, but they've done it. Crawford gives up the great track spots. Krista?
Well, Todd Bodine brought his Lumber Liquidators Toyota down. No tires, obviously. They just put some fuel in and did make a slight chassis adjustment. Again, they have just been off on the handling all night. Todd actually saying that the truck is kind of steering itself through the corner, so I think they felt like they really had nothing to lose. Todd Bodine was running, I think, as high as 18th after he had come in back on lap 89.
Of the trucks that came down pit road, the 15 of Jeremy Mayfield, the first off of pit road. Can Mike Skinner hold on? We've only got 36 laps to go. What everyone has been pointing their fingers towards, Talladega, the big race. This could make or break a championship for Todd Bodine.
It could for anybody. But this race is, we have some exciting races at Daytona. That may be the most exciting race that we will ever see in the history of the Craftsman Truck Series, because we're going to see 3-wide racing, 4-wide racing. Hermie, these trucks punch such a big hole in the air. The draft is so critical to them. You're going to see the whole field running together.
If you run 3-wide at Daytona, you can run 5 and 6-wide at Talladega. And when you put your point system, your truck and everything around in the hands of the guys around you, anything can and usually will happen at Talladega.
Again, that's October 7th, 2 weeks from today. Show starts at 2:30. The expanded coverage pre-race show from Talladega. A lot of us drive pretty cool trucks to work, but none cooler than Brendan Gaughan. He drove from his house to the racetrack with a stop at the Barbary Coast for a quick pit stop by his crew out on the interstate. That's actually my rental car he bumped into there.
Did you get the collision damage waiver?
I hope I did. And actually, I hope nobody from Hertz is watching right now. But Brendan Gaughan brought that truck into this newly reconfigured racetrack at Las Vegas. Again, Brendan Gaughan calling Las Vegas his home. And that's Sin City, just about 10 miles to the southwest of where this racetrack is at. Wednesday night, Brendan Gaughan hosted a fun poker tournament between drivers, crew, and a couple of us media guys got to jump in there. And the sunglasses went on when it got serious, but it was all for fun. It was all for charity. The Speedway Children's Group benefiting from this tournament. And actually, the winner of the tournament, one of the winners of the tournament, was a gentleman that works on Brendan Gaughan's team, and that was Clinton. He actually gave his winnings to the charity as well. So it was a very beneficial night.
Great move.
We see Todd Bodine, our points leader, making his way onto pit road, and so they will make some last-minute changes here. And they had talked about having problems with that truck, and it looks as though they're trying to resolve those problems. So, 28 trucks on the lead lap. Todd Bodine is in 28th. Johnny Benson scored 4th as we have just 32 laps to go. Cleanup continuing for the Smith's Las Vegas 350, presented on speed by Honda Motorcycles. Ray Dunlap.
Well, let's get in here and talk to Jeff Hensley. I was just saying, I can't believe this caution's taking so long. And what'd you tell me?
It might be a lot of people fussing about it, but I'm not one of them. But no, we were really close, probably about 2 laps short. But with this right here, I mean, I'm not going to cross my finger or count my chickens, but we should be able to make it from here with no problem.
Been a little bit of a frustrating year. I think that win might kind of ease the pain a bit, eh?
Yeah, we've run awful good a lot of times this year and come short a bunch. But this team, they never give up. We never give up on each other. It's a good bunch of guys here, and all the people at TRD and at Bill Davis's. I mean, it's a good bunch, and these are times when you can tell whether you got a good race team.
Okay, good luck to you, Jeff. We'll go to Krista Voda.
Someone else who I think is glad to have some of these caution laps is Rick Gay, the crew chief for Ted Musgrave. Rick, how close are you guys on fuel?
Well, we're probably pretty close like the 5 truck is, but you know, the Team ASE Germain Toyota Tundra's really running good tonight. Teddy's doing an awesome job. There's a reason why he's a 2005 champion, you know. It's going to be tight, but I think we can go up there and do something with Skinner.
You think you can get up to him?
Yeah, I do.
All right, that's Rick Gay, the new crew chief, since Bristol was his first race in here with the number 9.
Since last wins, Brendan Gaughan on the top of that list. 44 races since his last win. I believe he came back in Texas. Back when he was running in 2003.
That's right. Won 6 races that year. Almost won the championship. Was leading halfway, at least halfway through that race. We saw Ted Musgrave also on that list, and he's certainly in a good position as we take a look at Brendan Gaughan, the 77 South Point Dodge.
Hard to believe Ted Musgrave's name could be on that list after just winning the 2005 Truck Series Championship, but it has been 38 races for him since his last win. Coming up to the start-finish line, Mike Skinner leads the field. We have completed 115 laps, 31 to go.
Look at Johnny Benson there. He's been being passed on the outside by David Rudiman. Remember, he has transmission trouble. If he can only lose that one spot to David Rudiman, he's going to be in good shape.
Hornaday got another tremendous restart past Mike Skinner on the outside, and Ted Musgrave makes the pass on the outside. Great restart by Ron Hornaday again.
The master.
The master, that's right.
Unbelievable. Ron Hornaday doing it once again.
I think Ron Hornaday realizes his truck is not as good as Mike Skinner or probably Ted Musgrave. He need to get up front as soon as he possibly could and just try to hold him off.
And get that clean air on the nose of that truck.
What he also needs to do is make the track a little bit wider, so if he can run on the bottom of the track and maybe a half a lane up, that would make it that much more difficult for those guys to pass. But here comes Musgrave on the inside. He gives the inside up, and Musgrave takes over the top spot.
Hornaday's going to try to squeeze Skinner down, not able to do it. Skinner gets side by side with Hornaday for second.
The drag race down the tri-oval, Skinner beating Hornaday for second. Now Hornaday charging back on the outside. He'll try to hold on to second as they go to 1 and 2.
We heard Ted Musgrave's crew chief Rick Gay said he thought they could do something with Mike Skinner. Well, he's in front of Mike Skinner now.
Ted Musgrave looking for that first win in 38 races. Our 2005 Series champion, reigning champion, has not found victory lane all of 2006 as we're into our 19th race of the season.
Let's see if we can see how this all transpired on the restart. Look at Ron Hornaday right on the back tailgate of Mike Skinner. They just went by the start-finish line. Hornaday drives to the outside, keeps the power down, runs that corner wide open.
And him making the 5 truck get out of the gas and pinch him at the bottom allowed Ted Musgrave also to get by on the outside. So if Ted Musgrave ends up winning this race, he needs to give part of that check to Ron Hornaday for making that pass possible.
Do you think that's going to happen? I think Ted Musgrave mentioned something about Rick Crawford getting his address or something. Maybe it'll go to Rick.
Speaking of Rick Crawford, he's going to make a pass right there on the inside on the 22 truck of Bill Lester.
So Rick Crawford trying to make the pass on Bill Lester. That's a position. That's a pass for position of 17th. Ray, who you got?
Hey, just want to add on that 14 truck, they may be very glad that they did come down and get to pit road. Once they took the tires off, they found out they had a blistered right front on Crawford Circle Bar Ford. So they're very happy that they did come to pit road, even though they gave up all the track position.
Get Crawford being scored in the 18th position.
It's a little surprising that we saw some. We got trouble going in turn number 1.
That's Jack Sprague in the number 60, and he's going to try to hold it off of the track and out of the way of the other trucks. He's able to keep it from, I guess, making contact with any of the other drivers, but there is a lot of damage to the, looks like the deck lid.
Looks like the deck lid just came up. Maybe the deck pin that holds the deck lid down blew up there a little bit. He may not have that much damage. They just need to reattach that, but he's going to lose a lot of track position. We know most of these trucks, if not all of these trucks, especially up front, are going to stay out. So Jack Sprague is going to lose a lot of track position. He came back last time running 8th. It's going to cost him a number of spots.
And Jack Sprague bringing this caution out. Will drop back, as you mentioned, in the field. We take one more look. There he is sliding across. He was sideways in the tri-oval, Phil.
Yeah, and that panel on the tailgate actually blew up already on that thing, so I'm not sure that could have caused that problem. If that would have blown up, it would have blocked the air on the rear spoiler, which he relies on for downforce, and that may have been why, unless there possibly some contact in the tri-oval.
I was going to say, in the tri-oval, you don't normally see a truck get sideways, but there could have been some contact that got him started. Ted Musgrave out in front of Mike Skinner. Right behind them, Ron Hornaday Jr. The lucky dog goes to Bobby Hamilton Jr. 4 times in a row. Bobby Hamilton Jr. has got that. The fans expecting a great finish here in Vegas. Ted Musgrave is betting on the number 9 tonight in Las Vegas as he leads the field, and we've completed 123 laps at Sin City. Team ASC Toyota out in front of this field. His last win was Gateway of 2005.
One thing this does, set us up for another restart. We'll see how these guys try to handle Ron Hornaday, because he knows his only shot is to try to get in front of him on these restarts.
And Johnny Benson, too, at 5th. He's going to have a trouble with his transmission.
Again, after 123 laps out in front, it's Musgrave. 7 cautions, 29 laps, only 5 trucks out of the race. 21 laps remain in this one. You're going to see all of them of the Smith's Las Vegas 350. Presented on speed by Honda Motorcycles. Out in front, it's our 2005 reigning champion, Ted Musgrave, looking for his first win of the 06 season. And he leads them back to the green flag. We're back underway. Skinner just behind him. And the restart master, Ron Hornaday, in 3rd.
See Johnny Benson back in 5th now. He may lose a spot to the 16 of Mike Bliss. Ron Hornaday not quite able that time to jump up there and pass anybody.
David Rudiman currently 3rd in the point standings. Johnny Benson 2nd in the point standings. Here comes Ron Hornaday looking to the inside of Musgrave. Skinner's already got by. Skinner takes the point once again.
How about that? Mike Skinner fights back, gets that lead back.
Side-by-side racing. Bliss trying to take a position away from Johnny Benson. We've documented the fact that Benson has transmission problems. We don't think he has 1st or 2nd gear.
Yeah, it looks like he has 3rd gear. More than likely he would restart in 2nd. He's not able to do that, but he's only lost 1 spot on each of the last 2 restarts.
Gap between Johnny Benson. Behind him, Marcus Ambrose running in 7th. Then it's Setzer and Eric Almirola and Kerry Earnhardt round out our top 10.
There's Setzer's Flex Fuel Chevrolet right there. Marcus Ambrose, the 20 truck, just able to get by him 1 lap ago.
3 wide as they go through the tri-oval and into turn 1. Krista, what's going on with that 15 of Jeremy's?
Guys, we haven't talked about him much tonight. It's a guy that we thought was going to be a contender, Jeremy Mayfield, making a return to the Truck Series for this one race. He has really been bad loose all night. In fact, way back when, they had to make a track bar adjustment of 6 rounds, wholesale changes. But a nice story going on with the 15. One of their crew members, a mechanic, J.R. Norris, he just tonight clinched the Southeast Series Championship. Richie Waters, the crew chief on the 15, owns that car for J.R. Norris. In fact, J.R. Norris supposed to be the driver in that 15 tonight. Instead, he was at Greenville Pickens winning his championship.
Well, and we see the 17 of David Rudiman on the outside of the 23 of Johnny Benson. Another guy who wanted to be here but couldn't was Bobby Kennedy, the truck chief for the number 17, and he's at home with a new family member. Savannah was born yesterday, and so they are enjoying a new daughter to that family. Krista?
Yeah, little Savannah, their 2nd daughter for the Kennedy family. David Rudiman carrying a sticker that says "It's a girl" on his truck tonight. Something else he's been carrying is a bad loose condition all evening. They have had to make some major changes as well. He's been bad loose in, center, and off, but the adjustments they made, they must have worked, because Rudiman started 13th. He is now running 6th. He's actually dropped back a few positions on those last laps, but he was joking that he loves this reconfigured track because he had been awful here. He said he didn't care what they did to this place as long as they made it different so he could start off with a blank slate.
It's working for him. Those two, David Rudiman and Johnny Benson, trying to reel in a Todd Bodine point lead that started 124 points in front of Johnny Benson before the night started, but Benson has been able to whittle away a bit at that as Todd Bodine has struggled at this racetrack, but is starting to figure things out. He's moved up to 17.
Johnny Benson's had a great night so far. If he can finish this off with a top 5 with the problems they've had tonight, coupled with the fact that after practice field, they did not like their truck. They've done a great job tonight thus far, giving him in a position for a top 5 finish.
There's Ty Bodine right there, currently being shown in the 16th spot. Unless he can battle his way back into a top 10 position, Johnny Benson stands to get another chunk of that point lead Ty Bodine has.
Yeah, Johnny Benson's gained 58 points in the last 3 races. He gained 30 points just last week in New Hampshire, and so he continues to chip away, as you mentioned, at Todd Bodine's lead. Side-by-side racing there for Rick Crawford and the 77 of Brendan Gaughan.
There's Todd on the inside of the 21 of Bobby East. That's a battle for position right there.
15th, Bobby East holds it. Todd Bodine trying to take it away and will.
I tell you, Todd, now that he's moved up into a top 15 spot, he's going to minimize the damage if he can stay up there and even maybe gain a few more spots. But meanwhile, we've got a great battle for third between Hornaday, the 33, and Bliss in the 16.
Bliss going to the high side. 2 former champions racing for position. Ron Hornaday, not as much momentum coming out of 2 and into 3 and 4. Bliss will take the position.
Nice, strong outside move by Mike Bliss, Dave Fuges, Express Motorsports Chevrolet.
So Bliss moves up to 3rd. Ted Musgrave, Mike Skinner, the only 2 trucks in front of him.
By the way, you notice that 16 truck has nothing on it on the quarter panels or the TV panels.
Hasn't had for quite a few weeks.
Yeah, they desperately need a sponsor to keep that thing going. Good battle right there. Rick Crawford, the 14. Brendan Gaughan got way, way high. Meanwhile, Ty Bodine is going to get 2 spots.
14 had to get out of the gas and try to stay off of Brendan Gaughan to keep from making that situation worse. Todd Bodine really heads up driving, knowing every position helps.
And Todd Bodine actually got a little bit loose, had to check up, and so he backs up a spot or 2.
Yeah, you let the 14 truck of Rick Crawford get back by, and they're stacking up behind the 30 of Ty Bodine now.
Todd's is doing damage control right now. He knows he's probably not going to outrun Johnny Benson tonight, but every position he gets puts him in better shape to keep Johnny Benson from knocking all that point lead out tonight.
Krista.
Guys, that is exactly right. With every position, he can just chip away. He is looking at that gap, trying to shrink it between he and Johnny Benson. Back on lap 89, when they came in, they were running 28 at the time. They made another change on lap 107, going a round up on the track bar, and he has been flying ever since. He was 24th at that time. He has since moved up to currently 13th. That's a difference of about 10 positions in the last 30 laps.
And that's
big. Yeah. That's 30 points is what that is. 10 positions at 3 points of position back where he's running is 30 points.
Inside 10 laps of racing to go. It's Mike Skinner out in front of Ted Musgrave. Can Skinner win from the pole? Well, the last time it happened was back in 1996. He is trying to rewrite the record books tonight. Ray?
You know how many races that's been, Rick?
Nah, go ahead. You tell us.
88 starts and 16 poles since he last won from the pole. And you know, we used to have a pretty good bonus in this series for winning from the pole, but we don't have it this year. And Skinner said, man, I sure wish we'd had a chance after he gets all these poles.
30 career poles for Mike Skinner. Everyone knows that he is the guy to beat around here, trying to figure out if they can get the pole from him, but he's just been dominant.
It's been a decade since he won from the pole.
Todd Bodine trying to clip off one more spot. Rick Crawford in front of him. Crawford almost into the wall there.
A great job by Todd Bodine. A good, true sign of a championship team that struggled all night long and feel when it's money time, he's making his way towards the front.
We saw the 14 of Rick Crawford get a little bit loose down there. That allowed Todd to get up beside him. Rick fought back now on the outside. Let's see what he can do on the outside. Good side-by-side battle for 12.
And unbelievable, Rick Crawford able to stay in the gas even though that truck got so loose last time by and opened the door for Bodine. This time it looks as though Rick Crawford's going to back off, let Bodine take the preferred line down on the bottom. He'll tuck in behind. Johnny Benson trying to reel in the 33 of Ron Hornaday. That'll be a battle for 4th if he can get up next to him.
And up where these guys are running, if Johnny could get by Ron Hornaday, that would be 5 more points.
Johnny Benson again looking for his first ever championship in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. To start the season, he was looking for his first ever win. Well, that was 4 wins ago. He has 4 wins on the season. His most recent was Loudon last week.
Johnny trying to figure out a way to get by the 33 of Ron Hornaday. We're inside. We've got 6 laps to go.
Mike Skinner crossing the start-finish line just in front of Ted Musgrave. 5 laps of racing remain.
We've seen these two guys battle nose to tail for a number of laps. This is how Mike Skinner wrestled the lead away from Ted Musgrave. Right after the restart, he got a good run coming off turn number 2, beat him down the backstretch into turn number 3.
Real big power move right there by Mike Skinner. I think he was thinking, look, I've had a dominant truck all night long. I let these guys down on that last restart and lost the lead. He knew if he lost this race tonight under those conditions, he would have let a great opportunity get away, but he muscled right past those guys. He has been a dominant truck all night.
And we talk about champions racing against each other. Here are 2 champions. Mike Skinner, our first champion back in 1995. Our most recent champion, Ted Musgrave. Both of them looking for wins in 06, and they have not been able to find them. Tonight could be the night for either one of them.
Well, I would sure bet on one of the 2 right now. But there's Johnny Benson. That's another 5 points right there and a position.
Johnny Benson taking 4th away from Ron Hornaday. Mike Bliss just in front in 3rd. Then it's Musgrave and Skinner out in front of this field. Just under 3 laps of racing to go.
I think all these guys now, they're still a little bit tight on field. We've had a number of caution laps since these lead trucks right here had last been on pit road. So they do not want to see a green-white checker as we got a 3-wide battle going to 1.
And that could bring out a caution if they stay this way. But we have seen great racing here at Las Vegas, this newly reconfigured track.
This track has been a pleasant surprise to me and a lot of people here. Everybody worried about having 2 and 3 wide racing. We've had it all night long.
2 laps of racing to go. The difference between Skinner and Musgrave is 0.3 of a second. That's about 3 truck lengths.
We got a report on the radio that Tom O'Neill said something didn't feel right with his right front, whether it be tire, wheel, or suspension. He's got 2 laps to go. He's got to hold it together. He's running 12th.
This will be the last opportunity Ted Musgrave will have to get by Mike Skinner as they go across the start-finish line. The white flag out. It's 3 truck lengths between Skinner and Musgrave as they go into turn number 1. Angie Skinner, wife of Mike Skinner, eyes closed, probably saying a prayer. Please don't let anything go wrong as they go down the backstretch. Skinner in front of Musgrave.
They've had a couple chances. They were so good at Texas. Tom O'Neill passed him on the last lap. He and Tom O'Neill wrecked on the last lap at Nashville.
Twice. Mike Skinner has finished second in the 06 season, but tonight in Vegas, he will win the Smith's Las Vegas 350.
What a great job on Mike Skinner, Jeff Hensley, that entire Bill Davis organization. What a terrific job, and what a great run for Ted Musgrave. Mike Bliss, Johnny Benson going to gain another chunk of points on Tom O'Neill.
Musgrave grabs his 3rd second-place finish of the 2006 season, but it will be Mike Skinner who will celebrate, and I would guess win in Vegas. If you have luck of winning the race, you might want to go to a casino.
I'd say he probably would.
Well, first of all, his first stop has to be Victory Lane to grab the hardware.
As Phil said, he's been dominant so many times. Could have easily won 4, 5, 6 races this year, but definitely put the period on the finish tonight. Great performance by that group.
Well, we can't go without saying Johnny Benson also a phenomenal performance. He comes home in 4th unofficially. Our marks are Mike Skinner, Ted Musgrave, Mike Bliss, Johnny Benson, and Ron Hornaday Jr. are our top 5. So Johnny Benson, again, chipping away at that points lead that Todd Bodine has.
Especially when we were hearing before halfway of the race field that Johnny Benson had transmission problems. We were wondering if he would even finish the race, and he gets a top 5 finish.
3 rookies right now in the finish in the top 10 in this race. Again, we talked about at the top of the show, everyone had a clean sheet of paper. Angie's going to get a ride to Victory Lane.
Well, and it's been a while since Mike Skinner had found Victory Lane. His last win came in Richmond a year ago. This is career win number 19 for Mike Skinner. His first 16 wins came in the first 2 seasons of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series back in 95 and 96. And now the last 3 have came in the past 2 years. They're headed to Victory Lane for the 5 team.
Speed's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is presented by Craftsman.
Mike Skinner still trying to make his way to Victory Lane. Well, the last time Mike Skinner won from the pole was back at IRP in 1996. That was 90 starts ago for Mike Skinner to win from the pole. And that's an amazing feat to think about how many poles that he's won in this series, that it's been so long ago since he's been able to win. Well, let's go down to Ted Musgrave and Chris Devoto.
Well, it wasn't the win, but after the trouble you guys had in Loudon last week, does this feel like a win?
Well, yeah, sort of. I mean, we led some laps, and the Team ASC truck was pretty good. I mean, don't get me wrong, Mike Skinner's truck was dominant all week, but at least we gave him a run for his money and led some laps, got some bonus points, and, stuff like that. So we were really happy about it. Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for Loudon, maybe we would have been, higher in points, but hey, it's racing. It's all you can do, and I'm just so happy that both Toyota Tundras were up front running good. So my guys worked really hard this week, and they rebound back. Brand new truck, never been tested, never ran, so maybe it's my favorite now.
And he did get on the radio and said thanks, guys, because he knew he brought him back here tonight.
33 points gained by Johnny Benson on Todd Bodine as we look at our Ford point standings.
It's another good chunk of gain for Johnny Benson, inside of 100 points behind right now, 91 points with 6 races to go.
David Rudiman, 240 points, back in third. And again, we probably should reiterate, it's turning into a 2-race field. Krista.
Well, as Mike Skinner makes his way to victory lane, we're going to catch up with Johnny Benson because there was another battle going on in that track. You just trying to hold on to your truck. You had transmission trouble, and Todd Bodine was coming as well. Every point counts at this point in the season.
It does. Really got to thank Rick Grant. Everybody had Toyota certified used vehicles. Everybody had shop. I mean, for some reason, we got a little vibration. We broke one last week, but we didn't have a restart, so I was okay. When it broke that early on, I thought, oh my gosh, we do not need this. So Rick made a great call. We're able to keep us up near the front. And the restarts, I kept getting past, but I can't do anything about it. Good truck. Struggled most of the weekend. We ended up good. Appreciate you stopping by and congratulate Mike Skinner, Bill Davis, 2 in a row. I mean, that's awesome.
All right, and we're going to join as Mike Skinner in victory lane with Ray Dunlap.
And here he comes out of this Toyota Tundra. Today is the 23rd win for Toyota in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The Gunslinger is back to victory lane. We had the big roundup here, charity tournament a couple of weeks ago. That was pretty fun, but I'll bet this is even more fun.
Ray, I seen you hit a ball right down the middle of the fairway. I finally hit one in the middle of the fairway. Jeff Hensley, everybody did a great job. I want to thank Bosch, Tundra, Exide, TRD, Valvoline, Napa, everybody, XM. There's a lot of people, too many to mention, but Justin Boot, Maui Jim Sunglasses. Let me think.
It's about patience, though. You guys had to be patient with this team because you've had so many times where you were so close and you didn't give up.
And easy go golf carts. We've had a lot of chemistry, and it's all about chemistry. And Jeff Hensley and this team has just done such a phenomenal job, and I've made a lot of mistakes. We've made mistakes as a group. Colby Crook come back and helped Dennis this week. They put some great shocks on this truck, and I just want to thank. I love y'all.
Hey, let me ask you real quick about that pass for the lead, because that move you made on Musgrave was the winning move down the backstretch.
Well, the move that Hornaday and Musgrave made on me was pretty big. Ron, man, he's good on them restarts, and our truck was a little better than his, and he had the back wheels picked up, and it was spinning the wheels, and I couldn't go if the wheels were spinning, and he did a good job. He did what he was supposed to do, and I knew if we could the caution didn't come out, our truck was good enough to win the race, and by gosh, the caution didn't come out. Can you believe that, Ray?
And it finally came true. Mike Skinner is back in victory lane with this number 5 Toyota Tundra.
10th win of 2006 for Toyota, and the number 5 team celebrates in victory lane. Champ Car fans, Champ Car qualifying from Road America will be seen in its entirety immediately following this Truck Series broadcast. Let's go down to Chris Devoto.
Our third place finisher, the highest Chevrolet tonight, Mike Bliss. Talk about your evening. You kind of were working the pit strategy a little bit early on.
Yeah, I didn't like it. Every time we would do 4, they would do fuel, so it worked against us. And we kind of were forced into that after we stopped for fuel the first time when they did tires. But, I'm pretty excited. Our Chevy Silverado was real fast tonight. We kind of fought tight, loose, and then at the end it was pretty good. But, the racetrack turned out to be pretty dang... First time I came in here, I said, oh, there's going to be a lot of wrecks here. And it turned out to be a pretty good racetrack. For a first-time race, you don't see that very often. So it was good. I just want to say, Mark Smith, A and great motor.
All right, congratulations, Mike Bliss finishing third, and he was talking about the bumps in the track a little bit, and someone else who had some bumps this evening but came back. What do you say about this evening, Todd Bodine? I mean, you salvaged out a 12th place finish. That's something.
Yeah, that's not bad. First, I want to say hi to Ashlyn. I love you, Pumpkin. Yeah, we finally figured out the last run what happened, and we had a jack bolt back out, and we lost all the wedge in the truck. Finally just cranked a ton of wedge in it, and the thing took off. We were actually almost as fast as Skinner at the end of the race, but you know, track positions, everything, we like to say we were 28th or 29th and ended up 12th. So our Lumber Liquidators Tundra, we salvaged the best we could out of it.
Salvaging points. Rick?
Well, in a city known for its amazing shows, guys, we saw an amazing show here at Las Vegas.
A great debut for the new racetrack. I think everybody's really impressed and looking forward to coming back.
Hey, wait till this next one now, guys. You thought we saw some racing here. Wait till 2 weeks from now at Talladega. 3 wide, 4 wide, 5 wide.
Talladega, the next one on the docket. 2 weeks from today. Again, 2:30 expanded coverage of that Talladega race. 123 starts. Mike Skinner grabs his 19th win of his career. Thanks for watching on Speed.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.